Okay, well, welcome back. We're going to look at problem 4 now in multiplying by binomials. Um, we're looking at a cylinder that has the dimensions shown in the diagram. What is the surface area in standard form of the cylinder? Okay, so as we go through, we start looking at this one. I gave you the surface area formula of a cylinder. It's 2 pi r squared plus 2 pi r raised to the, times the h. So they gave us the height and they gave us the radius, but it's in the binomial format. It's x plus 1 and x plus 4, which is fine, it's just we don't know what it is. So when we go to find the surface area, we're going to say the surface area is equal to 2 pi. We're going to take our radius x plus 1, we're going to square it, we're going to add that with 2 pi our x plus 1, which is our radius, and multiply that by our height, which is x plus 4. Now the first thing we have to understand is x plus 1 squared means that it's written twice. So it's going to be a relatively long problem. We're going to write 2 pi x plus 1 x plus 1, and then we're going to have our 2 pi x plus 1 x plus h. Okay, so we have to FOIL this first. Now we could technically distribute this through. It's going to be easier for us to do that first. So we take our x times our x, our first. Okay, we're going to get our 2 pi, and I'm going to write this in parentheses again. So we get our x squared, x plus 1, which is going to give me an additional x, x times 1, again, which is another x, and then 1 times 1, which is a 1. Now continuing on, we're going to go this other side. X times x gives me our x squared, x times 4 gives me 4x, x times 1 gives me another x, and then 4 times 1, okay, gives me 4. So again, I just went through FOIL, distribute each of these terms. Okay, basically it's just a distributive property, but starting with the first term into the second binomial, second term into the second binomial. Okay, so now we have this big long problem. We just need to start simplifying it down. Okay, now one thing I can do is I could look at this and say, hey, I technically have all, two terms that have 2 pi, so I can pull them out and add everything together. So if you're looking in your book on 488, that's the method they went. So instead of even distributing this 2 pi through, I'm just going to put the 2 pi on the outside, and then I'm going to write x squared plus x plus 1. My addition, now this is the addition, it's just dropping straight down right there. My 2 pi I pulled out, so then I'm left with the x squared plus the 4x plus the x plus the 4. So basically I went back to that factoring problem that we did, where we pulled the greatest common factor, 2 pi, out of each term, which leaves me with this, which is this quantity right here, and leaves me with this, which is that quantity there. Now it's all about just combining like terms. So I have my 2 pi, still have my bracket there. X squared, I have another x squared, so I'll color code this a little bit. There's x squared, there's x squared. So that gives me 2x squareds. I go to my x's, I have x, 4x, and another x, so I have x plus x, which is 2x, plus 4x's, okay, which is 6, plus another x, which is 7. So I have 7 x's. And I get to my last one, 1 and 4, which is going to give me a plus 5. Okay, so now that I'm there, now I can distribute the 2 pi through, which 2 pi times 2x squared, well, the 2's give me 4. I have pi, and then I have x squared. I can't do anything with the pi. We're not going to use 3.14. We're just going to use pi. Okay, and then I go 2 pi times 7x gives me 14 pi x, and 2 pi times 5, which gives me 10 pi. Okay, and that's fine to leave that like that. Sometimes later on we'll get into where we just leave pi on the outside. Right now we're going to go ahead and distribute. But there would be our final answer right there. Okay, that is the surface area of that cylinder. Now that's an unknown length of x. So if we want to figure that out, we might say, hey, x is 1. Well, then it's 4 pi plus 14 pi plus 10 pi. Okay, and real quick, we get 28 pi as our surface area. Okay, so suppose that problem 4 was x plus 2 for the radius and x plus 4 for the radius. What is that surface area? It's very vital that you do this problem. Don't skip this one. You need the practice. Okay, and again, I'll put the answers at the end here. All right, so let's look at problem 5, multiplying a trinomial times a binomial. Now, there's really any way you can do this. It's kind of like FOIL. It's not FOIL exactly, though. But if you figured out the pattern of what FOIL does, it starts in the first term and it distributes into the second set of parentheses. So in our case, the binomial. And it multiplies that first term to each of those in the binomial. So if I take 3x squared times 2x, I get 6x cubed. If I take 3x squared times negative 7, I get a negative 21x squared. Okay, so now I have that part. So basically I start again, but I start in the middle term now. And I go x times 2x, I get plus 2x squared, x times a negative 7, so I get a negative 7x, and I'm done with that term. So then I move on to the next one, and then negative 5. Negative 5 times 2x, and I get negative 10x, and negative 5 times a negative 7, which gives me a plus 35. Now I just go back and combine like terms. And if you do it kind of this way, you'll notice that things kind of line up together. So kind of an idea that you can put out there. But we have 6x cubed. I have 21x squareds gain 2x squared, negative 21. So that gives me a negative 19x squareds. I have a negative 7x. Take away 10 more, I have a negative 17x. And then I have 35. So there is my answer to my trinomial and binomial. Okay, so go ahead and do this one. And there's your answers for the goddets. So you can go through there. That symbol, if you can't make it out, is pi. Okay, if you have any questions, again, let me know on discussion board or on Twitter. And take your Edmodo quiz, and we'll see you tomorrow.